welcome to the Glossy Beauty Podcast. I'm your co-host, Lexi Lebzak, the West Coast correspondent here at Glossy, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Sarah Spruik-Feiner, our senior reporter and the head of Pop here at Glossy. What's up, Sarah?
Not much. How about you?
I'm good. Excited for today's episode. We have Sarah Potempa on, the celebrity hairstylist and founder of Beachwaver, which I'm certain you must be familiar with her. I feel like she's such a big person in beauty.
Such an iconic beauty product, beauty editor product, the Beachwaver. I feel like everyone has used it. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think her sort of like origin story for it is that she was explaining how to wrap a section of hair around a horizontal curling iron to a beauty editor. And they were like, what? And then she went home and mocked up the curling iron, which in case anyone's not listening or isn't familiar who's listening, the Beachwaver is a sort of automatic electric turning curling iron. So it's like a rotating curling iron. It's like a regular curling iron, but it has a tiny little, what do you call them? Little prong?
Yeah, like clamp.
Clamp. Good one.
I think. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. A tiny little clamp that you stick just the edge of your hair in, and then you press a button and it literally rotates and will just wrap the entire section of hair. And it creates these very easy waves. And she's just done gangbuster with it. She's done so well. But one of the big places that she's done so well is live selling. And of course, today that means live selling on TikTok, amongst other platforms. So are you into TikTok Shop? I don't think we've talked about this.
I've done a lot of coverage of TikTok Shop, and which very quickly got kind of old, if I'm being honest, because it was just another brand launching on TikTok Shop. Okay, yeah, this is a new place that people should be selling. And I mean, I know that not every brand, and I haven't even heard the episode yet, but not every brand is seeing the success that she's seeing on it. It's it became something where I was looking for more than just a brand is launching on TikTok Shop, because that became sort of a brand launching in retail. It's just something a brand should do. In terms of me personally, I mean, I've made, I want to say 2 or 3 purchases on TikTok Shop. And one was 2 days ago, I bought a variety pack of protein bars, which
that's so random.
I know, it sounds so random. Okay, the protein bars are called David, and they are...
I've never even heard of that. David protein bars.
Yes, and they are the guy that I think he made RX Bar. And
okay.
Yeah, I was following the marketing of this brand and was really curious about it. And they had a variety pack of all 4 flavors for $15 or something. I'm not the person who's buying beauty products, but I am apparently the person who's buying protein bar variety packs.
That is so funny. I mean, hey man, whatever works.
It was a deal. It was a good deal.
True. I mean, that's what I hear. So I'm not actually on TikTok, but I do hear that the TikTok shop, and of course I've been reporting on it, but the TikTok shops, of course, are a much better deal, across the board, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think the thing that is so dangerous is that it's the way that it's you don't leave the app at all, and it's Apple Pay, and it's click of a button. And I don't know, I've become a very disciplined. I don't buy very much, but I can really see how this is a very dangerous avenue for people, because you see a dress and it's $20 and they have all kinds of coupons, and you click different gifts and you get different, TikTok is always incentivizing things in different ways. And then, with the brands, they have these, I think Sarah Potempa did one of these super brand days where they incentivize purchases in different ways, and they work with the brands and they have different specials and offers. And I can really see how this would be a rabbit hole for people.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I know Sarah, and she talks about it in this episode, but they do all kinds of bundles and promotions. They partner with different charities. They do bundles with other brands and like good brands. And yeah, it's there. She's really killing it over there. But I think that a lot of, so obviously this episode is about live selling, and sort of the phenomenon that's happening now. But she's kind of, I feel like she's got lots of secrets around like sort of how to tap into this world because she actually launched her line in 2012 on QVC. And she kind of recounts the story in this episode, but she was very nervous and she's like, I don't know if this is going to go well. And it went very well. And then in that first year on QVC, they had her on 50 times to sell her iron.
Insane. Just because it did so well?
Yeah, because I think she's just got this talent where she like really knows how to connect with people who are viewing, with people who are at home, with people who, want to learn more about doing their hair. And it's such a visual medium and it's such like a, and a lot of it, she is right. You and I were both beauty editors. It's like, we know that it is sometimes confusing to like write out a tutorial and it's kind of like, like if you're not really like that kind of learner, it doesn't really make as much sense for you. But so it's a visual medium and she's killing it. And she has this way of creating community and really like engaging. She will go live on TikTok. She also does live streams on her site, on her e-commerce site for Beachwaver. She does live selling on Amazon. If there's live selling happening, like she knows about it and she's been trying it. But she does these long shows. They have one called the packing show where they like pack orders and the viewers get a look into her warehouses and like her offices. And she's just really like figured out a way to let people in. And it's really converted for her. Generally speaking, she's sold over 2 million beach wavers. There are 2 million
TikTok.
beach wavers. No, just in general. But she has sold 1.1 million items on TikTok.
Wow.
Like one of the top sellers on TikTok. It's crazy. And of course, she has the Beachwaver and they have all of these other products now as well. They have over 100 products, tons of hair care, tons of stuff like that. That's like, great for anyone who's into hair and styling and all of that. But I'm rambling now. But we talk all
That's
about
crazy.
live streaming. Mm-hmm.
It makes so much sense because like you were saying, like it's so visual. Like, and I think in general with TikTok, like we see makeup convert well and like these things where you can just see a before and after.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in beauty for 11 years and I still can't I still cannot do my hair at all. I always have like this and not on the top of my head. And so I get it.
That's
I
so
get
funny
why
because
people want it.
I've been joking for the past few years that I forgot how to do my hair in the pandemic. Like as soon as we started going back to things and everything, I was like, I literally forgot how to do my makeup. I forgot how to do my hair. I'm like relearning all of this stuff after 18 months of basically doing nothing. But yeah, it's a interesting world out there. It's very cool. And yeah, very dynamic. She goes live for hours on end. She like knows her viewers, like same type of people commenting. She's like, oh, hey, you from there. And oh, like this person's in the mix. And at one point in time, I think that they have gone live for more than 24 hours at a time. It's like her community is just in love with this. And it's very interesting.
I'm surprised and I'm not surprised at the same time, I guess. Like
yeah, of course.
People be shopping.
People be shopping and people want community and they want to like have a place that they can go and learn things. And she's, I think, really tackled that edutainment sort of thing with this education and entertainment at the same time. And then the last thing I'll say about her before we sort of get into it is that one sort of like theme there where you might not necessarily expect is that they are totally independently owned. They're family owned and run. During the pandemic, she moved her business to Illinois, where she's from. Like her brother-in-law is like on one of the like packing shows they do on TikTok now and has all these fans. Like it's this whole thing. She created a content studio in Illinois in the warehouses.
Wow.
And then because it's going so well, she actually just opened up a content studio in New York in the Domino Sugar Factory, which I
Uh-huh.
think was converted for businesses. And yeah, she has a new office in New York that just opened this month, which she'll talk about in the episode as well. It has a door for business and it has a door for the studio. So they're going to shoot content in there, live stream day and night, baby.
It sounds like a good episode.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
good.
wait to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, yeah, let's get into it. Here is their episode with Sarah Potempa. Sarah, welcome to the Glossy Beauty Podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, you have found such success across so many parts of your industry. Celebrity hairstylist, you're still working with so many amazing clients. You're prolific on social media. I think you have 1.5 million on just on TikTok right now, just on your page. And you have this amazing company, Beachwaver, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that it's a family business. Like you are in the trenches. Your family is literally running this business. It is not a licensing deal. You are not just popping in once a month. Like it is fully your business. So I feel like the first question is a time management question. How are you doing all of this?
Yeah, it's been a wild journey, right? Being an entrepreneur is super exciting, but you do need a really solid crew, like a solid group of family, right? So for me, the backstory is really that I've been a celebrity hairdresser for 20 years. I've worked with every, musician, actress, like red carpet event. I've traveled the world, like it's been really fun and really cool as a hairdresser. And when I had this idea for a curling iron, I literally was like talking to beauty editors. They were saying to me, how do you get the look that you did on Reese Witherspoon on the red carpet? How did you get Camila Cabello's hair for her concert? Can you walk me through the steps? So for me, it was really like, wanting to educate everybody at home, wanting to teach them about my life as a hairdresser. And so I had this idea because I really found a lot of people struggled with curling their hair that, okay, I've got this idea. I sketched it out, right? That's how I became an entrepreneur. So the reason why I feel like I have so many things going on is because it really came from this passionate place of wanting to like share my knowledge and my love for hairdressing and really connect with that person at home sitting there thinking like, oh, I'd love to look like Reese Witherspoon. Like her hair looks great, right? So there's sort of all these elements. And then fast forward to today, I was so lucky and so grateful that my older sister was a corporate lawyer. I had told her about the idea and she was like, you know what? I'm not happy being a woman in law. I would love to feel more empowered. I would love to have an opportunity to be a woman in business. And so she left her job and started the business with me. And then we have another sister who was working always with me a little bit more. She was a photographer, videographer. She worked in casting on some TV shows like Top Chef and Project Runway. So she came to New York and was hanging out with me because I was on, in the hair salon of, Project Runway years ago. So Emily then was like, okay, well, maybe I should, and we were like, we want you to join. We need video, we need photography. So it really started with an idea, a concept I had. My two sisters really deciding to shift their career, start a business with me, and then come fast forward. It's like the opportunities when you are a hardworking group of people with great ideas, a family support system, right? It's been a journey. So that's kind of where we are today. It was 14 years ago that I sketched out the idea for the curling iron. And the two of them have been, I literally just this morning had a meeting with them, like sitting on my floor, being like, what's the next, where are we going? Like, how do we tell our story more? So it's a journey and it's great to have like a family behind me that does it with me.
Wow, that's such a strong basis for a really amazing company. And the product is so good and people love it. And it's like, 12 years later, give us a little background. So, what are your best sellers and what's your business model?
Yes. So initially I sketched this idea for a rotating curling iron. It's called the Beachwaver. And the idea was that when I was telling the beauty editor to hold your curling iron upside down and wrap it backwards and wear a glove, so many editors were like, oh, I don't really want to write upside down. Like, what do you mean? I wrap it backwards? Which way is backwards? There was so much confusion in writing an article about how to make a beachy wave. And as a hairdresser, I'm standing above you and I'm like wrapping it. I was like, oh, maybe it's easier for me. But when I go with my hands above my head, trying to do the back of my hair, that is harder. So I sketched out the idea for a curling iron that you could hold upright, that had a clamp. You could place it in to replace holding it with your finger, and that it would rotate to the left and rotate to the right. Because I would always say, make sure the waves go away from your face so that it looks like a beachy wave, right? So the concept was pretty simple, but it was different. And the only reason why I was like, it needs to rotate is because it was not upside down. I couldn't wrap it around. I needed some way to make the spiral. So I sketched it out. It took us 2 years to create this prototype, but I knew exactly what I wanted. I actually still have the sketch. I've been showing it on my TikTok shows and people have been loving it. And the sketch is really cool because it's identical to the product I made. So our most viral product, we've sold over 2 million of them, is this rotating curling iron called the Beachwaver. And now many years later, 12 years later, we have different versions of it. The initial was a Pro, which had an internal custom heater. There's so many wild stories about how we made it because I was a hairdresser coming at this of like, I don't want the standard 4-inch part that every curling iron has. I want a 6.5-inch internal custom heater. I want gold crushed powder in the rod. Like I did so many crazy things, like because it was coming from a hairdresser's perspective of what I would recommend to my client. So we developed the first product. That's our most viral product. And then we have since developed we have over 100 SKUs. We have developed a full line of innovative hair care and styling products that I am so incredibly proud of because pre-Beachwaver, I actually worked as a spokesperson for Procter & Gamble for 10 years. I worked closely with the chemists. I loved chemistry. I loved development of products. So throughout my time, I was like, I want to build a better heat protectant hairspray because so many people do curl their hair. They do flatter in their hair. So our Great Barrier heat protectant hairspray is the number one selling heat protectant hairspray. So it is a phenomenal product. Also within our entire line, we have a Lux leave-in, which is a detangler and a strengthener. We have a Keep It Calm, which is a smoothing cream. We have all these products that actually are built with an active ingredient, which is similar to skincare. So that's something I'm incredibly proud of and kind of part of our new storytelling and why all our live streaming is so important is I really explain to people the nature and the science of a hair strand. And our products go into the cortex of the hair and rebuild the cortex through an active ingredient in your daily use, in your daily cream, in your daily detangler, in your shampoo. So you don't have to think about it too much. It's really, really consumer friendly. But after a couple of weeks, a couple of months, you're like, my hair feels really good. And it's like, it's an active ingredient similar to your skincare, and it's going to really help you. So we have a really beautiful assortment of really well thought out, custom made products. I work with female chemists to develop them. They take anywhere from 2 to 5 years. And that is kind of our newest, latest, and like greatest storytelling in terms of like, what's your hair journey?
100 SKUs. That's really impressive. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I think that one of your superpowers is kind of like taking all of this, identifying what people need, identifying the problem that they're having, and then figuring out a way to speak to them in a very, very like open and like educational way. I think that's such a superpower of yours. And I think that being able to go on live and do that it must have been just like one of the biggest things for you. And you've been going live for a long time, right?
Since we started the brand, we
Wow.
launched on January 21st, 2012 on QVC.
Oh my gosh.
So my very first time ever showing anyone, besides some beauty editors and some events I'd shown some friends and family, very first was on live television in front of millions of people.
Wow.
It was like, this is the moment. And it was wild because they said, okay, don't get too excited. You might get 4 or 5 shows in your first year. It's like a lot. And then I was on over 50 times my first year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, they must have just loved you.
It was just so different. Like the product was so different. And I think people at home were like, oh yeah, I actually can't curl my hair. I don't know how to curl my hair. So watching me demo it, but the greatest thing about my show was that I didn't do the model's hair. I refused. I told them, I said, listen, I am a celebrity hairdresser. Yes, I do these amazing musicians and artists and for the red carpet every day, but I'm trying to sell a product to a woman at home in her bathroom, trying to get ready for a date night or a wedding, right? Like they don't have a hairdresser. So I don't want to be the one doing their hair. So we actually taught real women, real models how to do actually my very first show, I had 2 beauty editors come and my college roommate. Because I was like, you guys should do it. Because it's like, I made this product to teach you how to do your hair. So the models always did their own hair on camera.
Smart.
Right. And it was a big risk. The first, we had to really work out, how do we do this? How do they demo? How do they, right? But it was very real because they were like, okay, well, yeah, I'm a woman at home who's going to place it in and try to do this. So, we would say, well, Stephanie's not a hairdresser. Stephanie is a mom of 3. She had really thick hair. She's one of my best models, but she was like, this is actually wild. And often on QVC, the models wouldn't like speak too much or give their opinion. But in my case, Stephanie was like, I used to take 45 minutes. It takes me 15 minutes, but she was so authentically like, it changed my life. And I'm a model at QVC. I'm also a mom of 3 and I want to go on a date night. I'd like to curl my hair to go out. So it was really powerful, like how many of our models, when we were doing these live streamings, felt more confident and felt like they could do their own hair. And it was like really a phenomenal thing to see how that live streaming, the power of having all those people see, but then like being more authentic and real was really important, not to fake it, right? Mm-hmm. Not to have me do their hair. Of course, it's like going to look good if you have a hairdresser doing it.
Yeah, of course. What would you say are some of like if you have like a North Star or like one big thing that you sort of always come back to whenever you're live streaming, whether, it was back then on QVC or, on TikTok Shop today. What's your sort of North Star?
So I have a lot of really great mentors, a lot of women in business that have taught me a lot of cool things. And I would say Maureen Kelly, who started Tarte Cosmetics, told me something when we were backstage QVC. I had Laura Geller telling me really great things about connecting. Something Maureen said really stuck with me. It was like, she was like, listen, we're here, we're, relating to people at home. And it was, if you struggle with this, then you need this, right? And it really resonated with me because I was like, yes, like but it's so many scenarios. If you don't have time in the morning because you've got to get to work, but you want your hair to look good, like the Beachwaver actually could save you time when you're getting ready for work, right? If you struggle with curling your hair because you have a wrist problem or a shoulder problem, try this Beachwaver because you don't need to hold it upside down. You can just press a button. So if you can press a button, you can curl your hair, right? Like if you're not a hairdresser, this product's going to be good for you. So I really love that, like, because she was, so great and has, been in business 25 years, along with a lot of these women that have been live streaming for so long. And they were so great at like relating to the customer of saying like, yes, I may be, running this kind of company, or yes, I may be a celebrity hairdresser, but how can I like really explain to you how this product maybe would make a difference in your life? And I think that's the feedback I've gotten, either like, so many people in my life, like my mom, my sisters, right? They couldn't curl their hair before. And like now I'll see my mom and she's got like a beautiful blowout. She used her blow brush and Beachwaver. And I'm like, you're good. And she's like, oh, I use the blow brush. I use the Beachwaver, whereas so there's a learning curve for a lot of people, but I think like the ability to like relate. So it kind of always comes back to like, what scenario are you in? As a listener, you're listening to this, like, do you struggle with curling your hair? This product was designed to really make it easier for you. I think a big thing I found too is the accessibility issue. I didn't realize was going to be such a big one. People that do struggle with wrist problems, shoulder problems. At my first trade show, I had a hairdresser come up to me and say, I can't curl hair in the salon anymore because I can't keep turning my wrist. I can't keep rolling the hair. And he found the product and he was like, he's like, the Beachwaver has changed my career because I can now curl again. Right? It's like been wild. Like even our very first customer, Christina, who I still chat with all the time, our very first customer who ever emailed us, she is phenomenal. She's a kindergarten teacher in New Jersey. She emailed my sister and she said, I wanted to write you guys. I saw you on QVC and I bought the product. I never write to brands, but like I came down, I had my hair curled. My mom was like, your hair looks amazing. She's like, my hair looks so good. And I could never curl my hair before because I was born with one arm.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, oh, and my sister's reading me the email. It's our first customer. And Erin was like, oh my gosh, wait, this is crazy. This is so cool. And I think it's almost like we didn't even realize like the simplicity of the product could really affect people's lives. Right. So like there's a lot of storytelling and like relatability in some beauty products that is important when people are watching a live stream to understand, oh, maybe this is for me. Maybe I could use this. Maybe it is inclusive. Maybe, right. So there are people like her. She's just so phenomenal. She came in, we filmed with her. I was like, her hair looks so good. She's like, I teach kindergartners. They're like the wildest kids ever and they love it. And they're so open. She was so confident. I remember her saying like, oh, when I was a kid, they said I couldn't play gym. And she's like, then I was like, let me show you, I can do it. I can do everything everyone else can do. And so she's like, I felt like that with your curling iron. I felt like, well, I can curl my hair. I can do this. And it was really cool.
Wow, that's such a special story. So you had her come on a TikTok show or a QVC, or where did she come on?
No, years ago, we actually were right outside New York and we had her come to our studio and we
Okay.
just hung out with her. We hung out with her. We filmed a little tutorial with her. And then she actually joined our ambassador program. So now she's one of our Beachwaver babes. She's an ambassador in our Wave program. So she gets like her monthly bucks and she makes content. And it's really for her friends, her family, like a very, as a micro influencer. So yeah, Christina, and she's DMing me all the time because we just opened the office in Brooklyn. So she's like, when can I come in and film with you guys? Like, she's just a huge fan of now all the products and we're a huge fan of hers. And she literally was our first customer who ever emailed us.
Okay, wait, you have to compare and contrast for us. How is it different to have like when you were going on QVC years ago and now you're doing, TikTok lives or you're doing, I mean, you go live on a lot of platforms, right? I know you mentioned Amazon to me before as well.
Yeah, I think live streaming is really important to connect with customers directly.
Mhm.
I think there's this element of like reality and like just being there for them and building a community. Because I will say, I think probably a lot of people watching this too or listening they don't know that we might be women owned. They don't know that my sisters left their careers to do this. They don't know my brother-in-law runs the warehouse. My cousins pick up the recycling. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone knows that about your brand. And live streaming has given us this opportunity to like truly tell our story. And like, especially if you have like one viral product, like we have this rotating curling iron, it's super viral, right? Like, and people might not know who made it. I mean, I've literally had people say to me like, oh, but who actually made it? Who like actually runs your business? You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, like we do.
Yeah. Like, let me take you down to the warehouse.
Yes, let me show you my PowerPoint of you know what I mean? Like, you're like, there's so much that goes into it. Yes. Like, we have the warehouse, we ship the boxes out ourselves. We figure out where the stickers, the labels, where to get, right? So there's so many elements of this business that really are like important to tell your story. And that's where I feel like, live streaming has a really like important place in brand building, especially from the ground up, especially as a family run, entrepreneurial, self-funded, independent company, right? Like, we have to tell the story and we have to like find ways to, and then I think once people hear, they become invested. And that's what I've learned about TikTok and our TikTok live streams, our shows, Amazon, right? Our website. We actually started live streaming on our website before TikTok.
Wow.
Right. So we would have a text fam and people would join the text fam from like a giveaway or seeing us somewhere, wanting a promo code. And then we would say, well, why don't you come join me live on the website? Right. Let's build our text fam as a place where you could get to know the brand. You're not just coming here to maybe buy a curling iron, which most people probably are, but hey, let me tell you about the 2 to 5 years that we spent formulating this really great ingredient that might find, useful in your hair care routine. So we really found that the live streaming starts to build out a brand. Who are you and why are they coming to shop from you versus any other, company that might not really be a brand or have a backstory?
That's such great advice. And I know that in the pandemic, you turned your offices in Illinois, where your warehouse is based, where you're originally from, where a lot of your family members are working on the brand. You turned those offices into studios, right? To be able to make content easier. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's fascinating because for my career, I've been in so many like high profile studios, right? Like production companies, all of this. And it's been something that I've always loved. I love being on a photo shoot. I love creating content. So when building the brand, we would always go on location, right? You would be somewhere doing a photo shoot or an event or a runway show. And then we really kind of realized like, well, with the pandemic, how am I going to connect if I can't go to New York to a runway show? If I can't go do a desk side with an editor, I can't be with an influencer, right? To show them how to use the product. So we started to just live stream a lot. And it was like, out of my house, out of here. And we had a corporate office that we had just opened. And we made it like cool, and we painted the walls. We brought in like video games, and we were like so excited to like, oh, we're going to build this in-office thing. And we're going to have like local, female founders. And in our hometown, we had moved from New York back to Illinois. And we had opened our warehouse at the same time from Jersey to Illinois. And we were like, okay, cool. The warehouse has to be there. We are running the warehouse. And then the office is there, and we're going to have like, events, and we're going to be in the local scene. And that had to stop. So we had 2 locations in Illinois, not far from each other. And what was really interesting during the pandemic was that we sell shampoo, we sell conditioner. So we were like deemed essentials. So we could kind of still operate out of this space. And it was really interesting, because obviously we were like in here as a family, me and my brother-in-law, their masks, like trying to tape sections off. Nobody could leave this green box. Nobody could leave here, And when I was coming here so much just to operate the business, and, time kind of moved on, I was still live streaming from home. I was like, I like love the warehouse. I was like working the night shift, right? It's like, yes, I'm off doing a celebrity client, flying back and working the night shift, literally with my hat. I mean, one of the best moments ever was we had like, a bunch of temp workers, some high school students. We had like the football team from our local high school, literally working the night shift. And there was a marketing card, a really glam image of me. We did a collab with Stila Cosmetics, and it was me looking so amazing and like glowy, and I had a sparkle thing on. And then I'm literally working the line with them at the end of the tape deck, and my hat and my like sneakers and the 2 boys are whispering, like, I think that's her. That's the girl on the card. And I'm like, I can hear you. And it was so funny. And the one kid's like, no, it's not. That's totally not her. And I was like, hey guys, it is me. I do own the company. I invented it. I'm also working the night shift with you guys. It's just what happens in a family business. But anyways, I started to get to know our whole crew here and really like fell in love with all their stories. We have this phenomenal educational program we do with CEDAL, which is our local special education department of Lake County, where we train high schoolers in job training. We've had temp workers that have turned into a phenomenal full-time employees. And the stories that, they share with us, and they're so passionate about the brand too, because they've had opportunities to, I know one of our incredible workers who I love has become friends with my dad. Like, it always makes me emotional to think about the brand like this, because it's like, he was taking the bus every day and then got this full-time job and bought a car, like it makes me emotional, because I'm like, that's what like a family business is about.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what it means a lot to be able to like employ these people and have these opportunities. And, and I think that's the stuff we don't often tell. And we never would show, because we were always just like, oh, you want to compete with like the big beauty brands of the world, and be like, oh no, everything's so easy and everything's so glossy and pretty. Right. And like perfect. But here it's like, when you're an entrepreneur and when you're a family run company, right? Like what we realized is that like live streaming and telling and showing it, like people connected way more with. And it was hard for us to do, right? Like we never really wanted to tell people. We were like self-funded, and I'm working a night shift, and I'm like trying to make things work. You know what I mean? Like, so it when you look back and reflect on building a brand and a business with your family and with all of these people that are committed to getting your order out on time, right? And as fast as Amazon, it's like we wanted to celebrate that. In the last couple of years, we've been able to open up like the warehouse doors a little to this world on TikTok. And I mean, it's like kind of wild, because I've been able to tell them about like, the charity that pours our candles is like a local Chicago charity. And it's to help women who are single moms returning to the workforce. I never tell that story when we're just like the candle launched. And I mean, you do in copy, you see it a little, but it's very different to like hear it from the founders and hear about, well, what's the process? Well, my sister went there and met with them and, saw the women and got to film them. So it's like the storytelling element of like, why you do what you do starts to become very relatable. And that's why, I decided like, well, there's all these offices in this warehouse in the front that weren't being used. And I was like, well, I I'll just set up my studio in here. So we have like 3 different studio spaces and a hair salon. It's a mock studio. And the hair salon's literally it's in the warehouse. So we have 2 shampoo bowls that like my dad and his high school friend put in. And we've got, and that's where we will film all these live streams and film all this content. And then, I have my son come in and do a graffiti wall when we launch the graffiti collection, right? So there's a really, really big element of being right here. And that's kind of what spurred this concept of like our warehouse packing show, which has been our most viral live stream show.
And that's your brother-in-law's in that one, right?
Yeah.
And did you have to like twist his arm or did they go willingly?
It's a very interesting story. So my sister Erin, who's my co-founder, who was the lawyer, she is married to Tom. They have 4 children. And Tom used to work in finance, like trading with his family business, took some time off and then kind of started to come help with the warehouse a little, and then really got into the warehouse. And then now he's running the warehouse, right? So with a family business, it's been super interesting because there were a couple of years ago, we started to do all this like viral content and we started to tell our story a little more. We made a shift from retail to like direct to consumer storytelling, live streaming. And like we had this one holiday season where we just, in incredible news, had so many orders that we couldn't keep up. And I got my brother-in-law there running the warehouse. And he's just like, there's 30,000 orders. Like we have like 12 people working here. Like we need it. Right. So like, there's been so many challenges that him and I have had to go through of me making things viral and fun and exciting and selling fast. And then the logistics of realistically shipping everything on time people need it for the holidays. It has to get there. So we had this like really interesting relationship of like, we had to grow together where I was like, okay, I have to share with you what I'm going to do that might be viral and I might get an audience of 1 million people because you have to be prepared and ready with a team to ship it. Right. So there was a really interesting moment for me, I think, as a businesswoman. I've always been on the, the marketing and the hairdressing side of it or whatever. But then in this moment, I was like, whoa, wait, I do need to really evaluate what the team, do they know all this information? Are they ready for it? And we can't, and then it's like, do we have enough support for the customer? So we really had a moment. And, where he was like, you need a meeting where you're telling the warehouse every single thing you're going to do. Right. So since that day, we have had a meeting every Thursday at 10 a.m. where marketing and social and the excitement tells the warehouse and the team getting the truck shipment coming in and shipping the orders out, what we think we might ship that week. And do we need to increase? Do we need a night shift? Do we need a weekend shift? Do we need to work together? Like they are such a huge part of the business. It's not just the pretty social post that does well, right? Like if you're really truly going to be an entrepreneur, you have to know every single element of your business. And it was really great. So this is where I started to really get involved in the warehouse, right? And shipping and what do we have and what should we move and what can we give as a gift with purchase? What can we, right? What do we need space for? These scalp massagers are taking up too much room. I should move them. That could be a gift with purchase. So there's a lot of things you can learn about really being deep in your business with like, how do we do this? So in really interesting news, I'm like telling them about all the ideas. And I was like, it could be so fun if I pack some of the orders on camera. I'm in the warehouse every day. I'm literally right here. What if I just started to pack and show them, right? So I had this idea. Night one, it's just me and him in the warehouse on a Tuesday night. Everyone had gone home. And I'm like starting to pack the orders. And I'm like, we had this plan where I'm like, I'm going to get a product. They're going to shop the product. And then I'm going to pack only people that pack, right? So he pulled the orders. He's ready for me. Okay, I'm going to pack them. He goes out to dinner with a friend and left me, comes back. He's like, you're still on that thing? And there were literally 1 million people that joined the show that night. Like it was insane. I was like, I can't get off. There's so many people at the show. I don't know what to do. And he was like, and then I was like, did he get you dinner? And I'm like, no, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It was so wild and so exciting. And then what we realized is like, okay, this is a really big opportunity. And then I had to also explain to them and the team, okay, this is important. This is big. So we started doing it every single week, right? And every week we got better. The customers too, the fans helped build the show with me. I was like, guys, what can we do to make it better, more fair? What can we do? Right. And they had all these ideas. And then we settled on together, like, how could we make this packing show super impactful? So every week we pick a charity. So we donate. If you do not get packed on the show, we're going to donate to a charity. So you're going to buy the product, you get the product at a really great deal, discount, but you're waiting. Maybe you get a free gift when I pack you. I give you a free flat iron, a free thing. But if you don't get packed, you know that, hey, we're doing this together and we're going to donate. And we're going to donate to a really cool local charity that we feel passionate about that week. Or what is this? What are we talking about? So we started to build this up. Then people realized that my brother-in-law was the one printing the labels. So everyone, and I'd be like, Tom, they were like, are you still packing? I'm like, I'm still packing. My brother-in-law is printing the labels. He's right there. And I would show him and he would be like, and so they started to be like, we love you, Tom, pack my order, Tom. This is my order number. And it became this like really like natural connection between Tom and the audience. And then once in a blue moon, like Tom would come over and do the YMCA with me for 2 seconds. And they'd be like, it was so crazy. And then he would bring me a water and they're like, Tom's the best. He just brought you a water. Like it just naturally occurred. Like, and he's like so much taller than me. And he's like goofy and he's like does funny dances, but he doesn't really want to. So the minute he comes on camera, they just like connect and they relate to him. And then when the show started to get longer, I would be like, can I take like a dinner break for like half an hour? And like, could you come on and just pack some orders, So now he does this half an hour show, like in the middle of it. And the wildest thing is like, he's kind of growing his hair out. It's kind of fuzzy. It's kind of like curly. And he started just applying the mousse.
Yes.
And like,
yes. Demos.
demoing the product. And then one show he went on with a flash sale and he sold 1,000 mousses.
Oh, I love that.
In like 30 minutes. And we were like, what is happening? And then one of our social coordinators came with they like love it. They're gifting him like all these emojis. But what's wild is that I just think there's this very natural relatability thing. Like I went on the Tripping with Tart to Bora Bora. And we made a funny TikTok where Tom's packing boxes. It's like all this work and what did it get me? It was like a trending audio. And then it cut to me on like a yacht and he's in the warehouse packing. And it's like, realistically, people are like, I actually relate to Tom more. I've worked a night shift. My husband drives a truck. I drive a truck. I do this. Like I've had to work this shift. I've packed a box. I've had issues with shipping. You know what I mean? Like, so it's been this like phenomenal connection to him, which is a connection to the brand because it's our reality, right? Like we do have to ship the orders out. We do have to make the company function. Like we have to do it. And that's our reality.
Wow. I mean, you're like, people talk about authenticity and how that is the secret sauce for so much of the social world. And so much is unpredictable. And I mean, like you're being so authentic. That's exactly what you're doing. You're letting people in on this like look of the company that a lot of people, you don't get to see that.
Yeah. And it's something we were very scared of.
I'm sure.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And it really did happen kind of authentically. Cause I was like, oh, this is actually really fun because I love to educate. I love to do hair. So I would do this educational show on Fridays and then we would put the packing item in it and then I would pack. And I also love music. So it's kind of fun. My husband made a playlist and people would, and the music is good. And I've been relating with a lot of people that kind of grew up in my era that like 90s music. Like, it's like interesting how we've attracted a crew and they're into the music. They're dancing and laughing at home. And we've had so many cool stories too about like, a mom will write me and say like, I love the packing show because me and my 15-year-old daughter like sit and get some ice cream and listen to music and see if our order gets packed. Like, and they're like, I can relate to my teenage daughter now on TikTok. And I like it because I feel like, oh, hey, this is this family in Illinois just doing their best too. And we want to support you. So it's really, really been like a cool thing for us, especially being in business for so long and always wanting to be so polished and perfect and try to look like we're funded and big and we're like the P&Gs and L'Oreals of the world. Like of course, everybody wants to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it was like, well, hey, like whenever I would tell our story and people realize my sisters are here working, they're working really hard. So many people. I mean, we have so many great stories here. Like Jolene, who runs our operations, she's got a phenomenal story too. Like she met my dad at like a Notre Dame networking event. She was a lawyer who never worked as a lawyer and kind of took some time off to raise her kids. And then, for personal reasons, wanted to come back to work, joined us. And now she's like raised up and running the operations.
That's cool.
And there's those stories like that where I'm like, I do feel running a brand, it's not always just about, right? Like I don't know, like this perception, it's kind of more about the reality. Like, what does it take to really be here? And I've just been really, really grateful to hear the customers be like, I like you guys. I was like, hey, this is cool. Thank you. Like, it's cool that you see my family working hard. It means a lot.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's talk about TikTok Shop. So you're selling on TikTok Shop. How are you navigating TikTok Shop? How do you, determine what to sell? I know you're doing bundles, I think, as well. But talk to me a little bit about your TikTok Shop strategy.
Erin and I, my older sister, we've always been about leaning into opportunities that are new, like betas, right? So if anyone is listening and has a brand or starting a company, there's so many software companies that are like, hey, we have a beta. Hey, we have an opportunity. You want to try this? Want to test this? And we're always like, yeah, sure. Right. We're self-funded. We're independent. We don't need to really like go to a board and get approval or whatever. So we're very flexible. We can try anything. So we were actually one of the very first brands to sign up for a TikTok Shop. Before it was TikTok Shop, it was called something else. It was like an integrator through your website, through your Shopify, and we tested it and we linked everything, right? So we've always been really into technology too. Another thing I've learned being in business is that I really love a tech stack. I really love the marketing side of like the customer journey. And so this was an interesting one. So I was like, we started TikTok when it first started, which is pre-pandemic actually. Like we made a couple of viral videos. We like ran over a purple shampoo with like someone's car and like splattered and it got like 2 million views. And we did like an ASMR because we were like, I think ASMR is cool on this app. So we did that. And then we got like so many views. And then the pandemic happened. We kind of like slowed like the content on it. And we were like, what is this app? I don't know. And because we were never that realistic with our content, we were like, I don't know, is this too silly? Is it too crazy? But then we started to make some TikToks. Well, let's just try it, right? And any opportunity to find a place for someone to shop, that's great. So we started to do it. We were really into just creating pretty content and showcasing our runway shows and showcasing our hairdressing or braid tutorials. And then what happened was TikTok Shop came along and we were like, yeah, let's try it. Let's lean into it. And then when they did the rebrand on TikTok Shop, we were like, this is perfect for us because we like to live stream. And if live streaming is an element of it, it brings us back to our QVC days. And if there's an audience on our website, it's only the audience that we kind of tell to come to it. We texted you, we emailed you, but TikTok could be a new audience, right? It's people that don't follow us, that don't know our brand. So what if we try it? So we tried it. We went all in and we were like, right off the bat, the technology was a lot, but we were like, let's do crazy things. Let's go live for 24 hours. Let's sleep in the warehouse on the couch and just launch a product live and just sit here for 24 hours. I literally slept for 3 hours in the middle of the night as my sisters talked about dogs and coffee. It was like the most ridiculous show. I don't think we sold anything on the cat board, but it was so crazy. The amount of people that send us pictures of their weird animals, cats, dogs, birds, like monkeys they had. It was my sisters sold literally nothing on that show, but they were like, look at the dog pictures we got. I was like, okay. So we tried a lot. And then in the beginning, it was like some shows would kind of tank and you were like, no one's watching, no one's shopping. What is this exactly? Then we requested from TikTok, we're like, hey, we're really interested in doing this. And we had to help them with the technology because there's a lot of connectors, right? Like the order comes in through here. It needs to go through a third party to send the data over. It needs to go to your website. It needs to come to our tracking and we need to ship it through our shipping. Like there's quite a lot of technology connectors that in order to make an order happen, especially because we are shipping to you.
Okay.
It's not like a retailer where you buy it from like Ulta.com and Ulta ships it to you. it still was coming to our warehouse in Illinois, and we are shipping you the product.
Okay.
So we really needed to get the technology right. So we've been a huge partner with TikTok Shop to help them, because we are a family-run company, because we are running our own software, our own warehouse. My brother-in-law was super involved in trying to be like, hey, the tracking number isn't going from this software to this software. Our customer service needs the tracking number, and you're requiring us to put it in. So a lot of it was technology. A lot of it was super important that we got there. Once we got there and figured it out, it was like, and I had this meeting with TikTok where I was like, hey, we're trying to be really authentic. I'm trying to just be chill and cool and do my hair and see if people shop. And, and then when they described to me their vision for TikTok Shop, like a light bulb went out. I was literally like, oh my God, this is QVC. Like, so we're talking about promos, deals, flash sales, timing, numbers, like pointing at this, pointing here, right. And I was like, oh my God, I've done this. I was on 8 years. I've done hundreds and hundreds of live selling TV shows. And I was like, this is exciting. And I love it, because I loved QVC for so many reasons. And I love TikTok Shop even more because I get feedback. Like I would only get like one caller. Yeah. And the caller would be like, I bought it and I love it. It's like, okay, cool. And then, right. Or like, and I'm on TikTok Shop and I have hundreds of comments flying at me. And I'm like, yes. Oh, what can I do with my hair? Oh, your hair's curly. You need me in my curls. What's the difference between the two mousses? I'm like, this is the difference. This is for volume. This is for your curls. I can answer customer questions like immediately. And I can give them a promo, and I can tell them the price, and I can do that. I can give them a giveaway. I can give them ways to support the brand through emojis. Like, it is super engaging and really exciting. So yes, it's a sales show. And yes, it's like a QVC type style, but it's engagement though. Like, it's a community. And they tell me, hey, Sarah, I'm out of my fragrance. Can you please do a flash sale on the fragrance? Can you please do a flash sale on your candles? Can we talk about it? Can you explain it? And I'm like, hey, if I do this promo, will you guys buy it? And then it's like, yes. Or like, no, I want the 0.75. I want the smaller size. Like, please put the balls. Like, so I am getting immediate feedback on what they want me to sell to them and at like what price. And then what happened next was like really phenomenal. I got like a hardcore group of fans that also explained the shows to everybody else. People would be like, oh, she's not going to pack my, or if it was a packing show. And they were like, she donates to the charity. The brand is donating. This is an opportunity. You're not, you know what I mean? It's for the community. And so I have the VIP OGs, and they're all good vibes. Everyone's supportive. If there's someone mean and nasty in the comments, they tell them to leave, because it's a positive space. It's a hardworking family-run company. It's a women-owned brand. And it's like been amazing to have the feedback like that.
Wow. I mean, you've like just cultivated this entire community. I know you told me in a call we had recently that people are coming on for like one person will watch like 100 to 200 hours of your shows every month.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really fun. And it's like,
wow.
It's cool because now I've gotten to know them, and I like really appreciate the support. So many of them have made 20, 30, 40 orders with the brand. And it's like, finally in our career of like building this viral curling iron, that people are seeing all the other stuff we're doing, like the active ingredient and the hair care, and they want to try it. They want to support it. And I also explained to them, and I like this because they're part of they feel like they're part of building a brand too. And I really appreciate their feedback, because I'll say to them, like, sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, you just gave away 200 curling irons in the show. And I'll explain to them, like, sometimes you get a phone call from like a talk show, right? Like The View or like Kelly Clarkson. And they're like, hey, can you give me 200 curling irons for the audience members? Right. Mm-hmm. And we've considered it, we've done it, and you're like, that's cool. That's cool. You get like a little mention. But only once in my life have I had someone come up to me and say, oh my God, my aunt got a curling iron in an audience. I think it's your curling iron, right? Whereas, so I'm explaining to them what I really, really love about this community is like, I'm giving it away to them. But in exchange, I think they're going to buy our new detangler, and they're going to try it, and they're going to support it. And then they're going to tell a friend that they like it. And we literally have this open conversation about brand building. And they're like, yes, I'll try your hair care. Like, thank you for the giveaways. Like, it's this really like modern way to engage like a group of customers into the brand. So even when we're like trying to sell out of a packing item, they'll engage their friends. We have 50 left. And the wild thing about TikTok Shop is TikTok shows the customer how much inventory has been sold. or how much is available. So like, it's been really interesting. So instead of like trying to shy away from like, oh, there's 1,000 in stock or there's 50 left, I'm like, hey guys, how many are left? And they look and they tell me.
Oh my
They're like, oh my God, we've sold 673. That means you have like, you have 130 left to sell. It's like
Oh
that.
my
And I'm like,
gosh.
okay, thank you. Let's get it. Who wants this? So it's like just a really fun, like time for me as someone who's trying to like explain my product and sell my product. And for them who's trying to like feel like they, work with the brand and they're trying to help grow the brand.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So you have 1.5 million on TikTok on your personal, your hair page. And then the actual brand Beachwaver has, I think, 1.2 million. So talk to us about how you're utilizing your platform versus the brand platform. And then also I'm curious as to like what percentage of the content that you're putting out are like cute videos and viral things. And then what part is actually like, selling.
Yeah. So on my personal page, I took a different approach. The approach is education and tutorials. So I really wanted to make a library for hair tutorials. So I wanted it to be not quick snackable content, but short educational content. So the videos tend to be like 2 to 3 minutes long. And I walk people through very basic to very difficult, detailed hairdressing with a lot of braids. So if somebody wants to learn, that was my purpose of that page, was not necessarily to sell, it was to educate. So I found that, and I really wanted it to be branded with the pink and recognizable. So I've done a lot on myself, but I also feel like the most viral videos, I think like I had posted a basic 3-strand braid and it has like 15 million views. I've done like how to do a French braid versus a Dutch braid and it has millions of views, right? I've done simple ways to, if you can't French braid, to do like a snake braid, millions of views, because I'm like, here's the steps you need to take at home: right over the middle, left over the middle, right over the middle, left over the middle. Now you're going to hold the 2 strands to the left. You're going to slide it up. You're going to slide it down. So I voiced them over so that people could actually rewatch it and then get their friend or their daughter and actually do it. So I found the most viral content on that page has been like parents who are doing their kids' hair. I've had a lot of dads. I'm a single dad and I don't know how to do a braid. And my daughter wants a braided bun for ballet, and so it's really just like this beautiful library of like just resources. And I'll often tell the Beachwaver family and like the whole group over there, hey, if you want to learn how to do some of these, because sometimes we're so fast on that page and they want more tutorials, that I'm like, go over there and follow that and you can rewatch them. It's a library, it's educational. And I find that can live on forever, right? Like a really slow, nice tutorial is something people can always reference. So we found like a lot of saves, a lot of engagement on that page, a lot of interest on the page. And then I do really complicated, like satisfying videos as well, where it could be like a wild Viking braid or a medieval times thing where you're just like, what? And that goes back to like my artistry and my love of hairdressing. I just really, really love to do hair, right? When I was a kid, I played sports and I was the one on the softball basketball team who was like braiding everyone's hair on the bus, like that's why I became a hairdresser. So I think there's a lot of relatability and like that element. I do have a TikTok shop on that page. I do attach a lot of the videos to like the product I'm using, like the braid balm or the Beachwaver. And so I'll do some stuff over there for the TikTok shop. It's just not the focus. So then on Beachwaver, it's such a storytelling brand page. And what's been really cool is all these things I've been talking about with my family, the warehouse, the events. So we'll take people behind the scenes of New York Fashion Week. We'll take them behind the scenes of the warehouse. So it is a wide range. And it's almost just like an open book. Like it's almost like just come behind the scenes with us and you just see craziness. And then it's trends and it's audios. And now if you see, I've gotten my brother-in-law to put a robe on and a towel on his head and do a TikTok dance with me. We got like limited amount of time where we're like, here, do this audio, and he'll do it. We get like an hour every other week. And so you get a mix of that. So the Beachwaver's channel really is heavily focused on TikTok Shop because it's a brand and we sell products. And I want people to understand why they want to buy it, what it's going to do, how's it going to help their hair. And then I want them to see how hard my family works. And I want them to realize, because I do think there's a lot of consumers out there that, when you find that brand where the family or the brand story, that you're like, I do want to buy this girl, she was on QVC, she gave me these 2 bracelets she just wrote me the other day. And I'm like, I know it's her and her family in Boston and they make these bracelets. You know what I mean? Like when you know that backstory, you feel like, okay, I know it and I want to support it. And I feel good about spending my money on that product. And I think that's why I love the Beachwaver's TikTok so much, is because like they're seeing it all essentially.
Yeah. Well, your community is about to see new videos. I know I want to talk a little bit about the new offices / new studio that you're opened. It's like right around now, right? In New York.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So expanding on our warehouse, we opened an office in Brooklyn. So it's in the Domino Sugar Factory. And since we love stories so much, like we started our company out of our apartments in New York. That was the first place. And then I had moved outside of Manhattan. I went to NYU for college. I love New York so much. New York's like always been my home. And then we moved outside to New Jersey. I had 2 kids. And then we started our very first warehouse a couple months into being on QVC. I mean, Aaron and I used to drive the truck to QVC with our own goods. I never knew that goods came into the same airport that you fly into. Like, I was like, we pick it up at JFK? This is cool. I was like, okay. So like we would drive the truck, it would go in. And the funny thing is my brother-in-law was just dating my sister at that time. And they had just gotten their own apartment in like Wall Street, but he worked in finance and they were just dating. And Aaron was like loading boxes in their apartment. I was like, who knew one day you're going to leave finance and you're going to be packing boxes.
So funny.
So it's so funny. So we had moved into the Yardley soap factory above Hoboken, overlooking Manhattan. And it's such a cool building. Still to this day, my friend Jono makes pottery in there and sells to the best restaurants. It's a very cool artistic community. That was our very first warehouse. So we were running the warehouse there. We were doing everything there. And the Yardley soap factory overlooked the Hudson River. And now we've moved to the East River on the waterfront in the Domino Sugar Factory overlooking Manhattan on the other side.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
And so funny. And my sister Erin said to me the other day, because she's the one that's going to run the New York office. She's moving there and it's super exciting. She was like, what's so crazy? She was like, the Hudson River is so calm. I came across it as like, it's so calm. She's like, there's something about the East River. I came over to our new world. She's like, Brooklyn's like wild. And there's all the boats and all the stuff happening on the river. And she was like, I just felt like there was this weird analogy of like the calm nature of like beginning and then like the journey of an entrepreneur. But we really like love that. And we're so excited about this Brooklyn office. And what we did was we built a content studio there and an office there. And in the content studio, we're building a mock hair salon. So we have 2 shampoo bowls, 3 hair stations, a live streaming room. And what's so cool about this space is that we really want to build upon this live streaming and this community. And we have so many friends, creators, hairdressers in New York City that are going to become part of our like live streaming strategy. So like Gregory, who has been a hairdresser with me since I feel like we were kids. Like he's been from before the Beachwaver. He lives in the East Village and he's going to be coming over and like live streaming out of the studio. We have so many phenomenal. One of my friends, Natalie Negrati, who's like on The Challenge and MTV. She's a reality TV star, but I've known her since she was like a cheerleader on the Jets, like from a photo shoot. She's like, I want to live stream in the studio. So we're kind of bringing together all of our friends, our creators, our hairdressers, and bringing them into a space in New York where they can go live. They can share their story of the Beachwaver. They can share like what products they love as a hairdresser, as a woman who's making content, as a woman in business, right? So we really want to like just expand upon the storytelling of the brand here, and then all of our our relationships that we've had for years, and then make it a space too that beauty editors could come in and get their hair done to learn about the product, because that's kind of how we started the brand, and anybody to come in and really learn about kind of what we're doing and be part of it.
Yeah. Well, exciting. I can't wait to see some of those new backdrops on TikTok and just hear about all the exciting stuff that you're going to be doing. Thank you so much for coming on the Glossy Beauty podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. Okay, so if someone wants to follow you to join your millions of followers, where can they find you?
So on TikTok, it's at the Beachwaver is our main page. And then at Sarah Potempa Hair is the fun pink haired braid video tutorials. And then if you're on other channels, obviously beachwaver.com is our website where we still do a lot of live streaming, a lot of really great content there as well. And then on Instagram, I do have a different, and I do love this when you talk about strategy and content for social. My Instagram's very different than my TikTok. So my Instagram, which is just at Sarah Potempa, has been very rooted in my celebrity clients, like the behind the scenes of that world. I was just at Lollapalooza styling Renee Rapp and Hayes Warner. So I was, with my clients, and I'll often showcase a lot of that, like the celebrities, the musicians, more personal stuff, so that's kind of exciting. And I think anyone listening to that's working on content strategy, I think leaning into those platforms is important, right? Like TikTok is a different place than Instagram is, or Pinterest, or any other platform. And I think when you lean in and embrace it, it can be phenomenal for whatever type of story you're trying to tell.
You've been so good at that, at figuring out what people are on a platform for, or what they're looking for, what they want, and then really just breaking it down, making it simple and giving them what they want.
Yeah, it's been exciting.
Well, looking forward to watching all your continued success. And you'll have to come on for a part 2 so we can talk about, I feel like I could talk to you all day about all this different strategy stuff. But thank you so much for taking time. Yeah, truly.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Glossy Beauty Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. And for even more coverage on the beauty industry and more, please visit glossy.co/beauty.